More than just the headlines, find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie of the Chicago Tribune Ed Board. And joining us in studio are two gentlemen who are trying to take the local, Drain the Swamp in Illinois. You may have heard we have a bit of a political corruption problem in this state, Kristen.
They're awfully busy. I mean, draining the swamp in Illinois, this could take years.
Yes, it is deep and viscous. And the thing I like about Kirk Allen and John Kraft, who are the co-founders of the Edgar County Watchdogs, is it all boils down to two simple questions. We've had them on the show before, Kirk. I remember these questions because I've used them before, with attribution, of course, because I'm a gentleman. Who says, and what evidence do you have? That's the whole. Those are two questions you just need to ask every public official about every pronouncement, and you open the Pandora's box.
Absolutely.
And so you guys have opened another Pandora's box in LaSalle County. A grand jury has indicted former LaSalle County State's Attorney Brian Town on 17 counts of official misconduct and misapplication of public funds recently, and the proximate reason for his indictment is your investigatory work.
We started in May of 2016 and started exposing illegal spending, all kinds of self-dealing, all the way, which we believe should be a national story, the civil asset forfeiture, where he's basically stopping out-of-state vehicles on Interstate 80. We've even got one of his so-called police officers, he created his own police department. If you can imagine that, a state's attorney has his own police department. And we have this guy on video declaring that he's an FBI agent, and he's not. And nobody's done anything to him yet.
Oh, that's interesting. And so give us some detail on some of the misspending that you found in addition to his own security force there.
I think the biggest one was probably the funds that he was using for himself and his wife, bought himself an SUV so that he and her could drive this vehicle at their leisure.
Oh.
He had all of his campaign stuff, or a lot of his campaign stuff being done out of his office, had staff workers stuffing envelopes and making labels, on the county equipment. But I think the most ironic one...
So doing political work on taxpayer time.
Absolutely. But I think that the saddest of all of this, there were 8 counts that did not come back with an indictment. And those were tied to spending of these seized drug money to schools, which was illegal, and we exposed it. Well, he lobbied the legislators to go and have the law changed to make his illegal action legal.
And this is, just to back up, this was the, 2-term, 3-term LaSalle County State's Attorney.
Yeah, he'd been in that office, I believe, over 20 years, but as state's attorney, I think this was his third, at least 3 terms.
And just so the listeners who aren't familiar with you, you are just 2 regular guys who got together maybe 7 years ago, and now you have become a force with municipal government, FOIAing credit card statements and all. Do you get tips? Like, you go all over the place.
We get tips on a regular basis. From all over the state, literally. Mm-hmm. And we've been doing this for about 7 years. And like Dan said, we ask says who with what proof, because we get told a lot of things. Mm-hmm. I mean, they will just talk and talk and talk, but when you start putting their words to the statutes, you find out not only do they not know what the statutes are, they just do whatever they want because nobody holds them accountable.
So just to pick up on what Chris is saying too, so I mean, we've had you on the show before, but so people have a little bit of background. You didn't work at the Washington Post before launching the Edgar County Watchdogs. What did you guys do before you did this? Because I think one of the things that's important about your story is regular tax-paying citizens can have an impact because there's a lot of fatalism in Illinois.
Well,
John.
Both of us were in the military. I was in the Army. Kirk was in the Air Force. I think, didn't you leave about a year before I did? We never met each other until we were both in Paris, Illinois. And I was, janitor at the local Catholic church and school, just minding my own business.
Mm-hmm. And now you're
feared. Well, now Robert Redford's going to play him in the movie.
You could find he's aged a lot. You could find someone more handsome to play John than Robert Redford. But I get your point.
Yes,
I get your point.
But and Kirk, what did you do professionally?
I run a fire equipment business. Got out of the military, moved back to the family farm. Got involved locally. I was the fire chief there locally, and for me, I got involved because I got lied to by our dispatchers, and we found out that our 911 board during their meeting lied to me and said our dispatchers were all licensed, and they hadn't been licensed for 6 years.
And see, here's the thing I wanted to make this point too with you guys, and just in general. You worked in municipal government. This is not about being anti-people in government. It's not about anti-frontline workers in government. It's about being anti-corruption in government, anti-misuse of scarce taxpayer resources in government. That's an important distinction because the public sector unions and the left want to make this, if you hold government accountable, you're somehow anti-government. No, you're not. You're pro-honest public service.
Yeah, we're asking for rule of law to be followed.
and we're not political. We don't ask if they're Republicans, Democrats, whatever. It doesn't matter to us what they are.
But your impact has been really significant. For listeners who have been following the Illinois Auditor General, Frank Mautino, there is still an ongoing federal probe.
Also
into,
LaSalle County. Also
LaSalle County, correct. Potential misuse of campaign funds. You caught the Bloomington mayor buying his girlfriend a taxpayer-funded ticket to Japan. I mean, it is amazing that public officials using municipal credit cards, and I see a lot of your work now along this line, still try to pull that kind of stuff. I mean, in this state, are you kidding me that you still have public officials using their credit cards for personal use, and here you have an indicted LaSalle County state's attorney doing that, allegedly.
Yeah, and one interesting thing about LaSalle County was one of the charges was collecting unauthorized pay, because when he's a state's attorney, he can't have a second job. He was getting paid by the appellate prosecutor's office more than $50,000, I believe, to work for them and get paid to give classes on their behalf when he could not hold a second job as a state's attorney.
All while he was the chairman of the board of the appellate prosecutor's division.
Unbelievable.
The layers and layers. I mean, it's a perfectly Illinois story. Tell me about, because this is fun, govplates.com is the new website you guys launched, right? Govplates, govplates.com.
Correct. Well, we travel all over the state of Illinois at all times of the day and night. We got used to seeing municipal license plates with the M or the U plate parked in front of bars and clubs and at the shopping malls and everything else.
Golf courses.
All hours of the day
Strip
and night.
clubs.
Golf courses. Yep. We couldn't ever figure out who they belonged to, so we didn't know how to complain about where the vehicle was. So I did a FOIA request to the Secretary of State for all the license plate data for government vehicles. And
no, you can't have them.
Well, initially they said I could, and then I proved in their own statute that they had to provide it to media, so they gave it all to me. We made an app and put it up on the website. Now anybody can go in there and type in the plate number and find out who it belongs to. Then they know who to complain to.
Yeah, maybe post pictures too, so you know the locales that you find some of these municipal vehicles.
We already have one vehicle that was purchased illegally, identified, and now has been returned to the dealership thanks to the Kankakee State's Attorney's involvement in Limestone Township.
I love this.
Well,
I mean, this is going to have a dramatic effect on the 19th ward of Chicago, where I live, where every other city worker is driving an M plate. So,
yeah. I mean, the only problem though is you're going to have all these Cook County and City of Chicago workers on foot now because those fleets of vehicles are going to all be retired. I mean, there's not one of them that you're going to not find at some gin mill or country club or.
I think even more interesting on the database that we built, and we're going to put this up eventually. We're still trying to organize it. Is the types of vehicles that public bodies are buying?
Mm-hmm.
Cadillacs, Beamers.
Oh, sure.
I mean, it is amazing to see what's being purchased with our tax dollars.
They're buying BMWs.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, some of these suburban police departments have gorgeous, dare vehicles.
Oh no, I know.
But so we need that. We need to have dare vehicles.
When you go to the communities that are struggling in Illinois, what are the most regal buildings you see? Right.
The municipal buildings,
of course. But BMWs.
I mean, aside from Skybox, which I know you frequent.
No.
And Harvey.
I do not.
A lot of M plates going to be out there.
I love the BMW. Is that for the water department? What's the particular need for the BMW as a municipal plate? And by the way, Aren't we kind of predisposed to buy American when it comes to government? Wouldn't you think?
You'd think.
I'm all for if you're saying we're not buying American because we want maximum value for taxpayers. Okay, fine. I doubt the BMW qualifies. You know what I mean?
We were chatting a little bit earlier too about you've become obviously experts at FOIA law. Do you think Illinois' FOIA laws are pretty good? Are you able to finally access information that you seek?
Well, they're pretty good. However, they're slow, and there's virtually no real penalties on a public body for not answering the FOIA request.
Lisa Madigan drops the hammer for you when they slow walk you, right?
Well, yeah, they take 3 or 4 years to.
So after 3 or 4 years, Lisa Madigan intervenes?
I still have one that's out, is over 4 years old that has not been finalized.
Wow.
Sometimes they're fast, but most of the time it's 3 or 4 years, and they always say we're shorthanded.
I think it's directly proportional to the incriminating nature of the information they're about to release.
Absolutely.
It's fast if they're in compliance, and it's slow walked if maybe there's trouble brewing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm
like
trying
College
to
of DuPage.
I've been trying to get financial data from
College of
IMEA, Illinois Municipal Electric Association, for 3.5 years.
Wow.
And they still claim it's protected data. Well, 3.5 years later, it's not going to affect your electric rates. I'm sorry.
I've noticed in just following your work that you will report something 2 or 3 times, and then finally the local newspaper will write a story. I'm thinking of this Bloomington mayor buying a plane ticket for his girlfriend to Japan. Just repeating that again. Has that been your experience? Are the media sort of embedded in these communities, and they're a little hesitant to ruffle the feathers of the powerhouses in their towns?
Absolutely. We call it forced media. It finally gets to the point where they have to report it. And we saw the same thing with College of DuPage. We reported, what was going on there, where the local media only reported what the officials wanted them to know. And a lot of it was lies, and nobody held them accountable until January of 15 when we sued them to have a bigger meeting room, and that's when everybody started dogpiling on the College of DuPage and finally got it fixed through the media.
Now, it's maybe tough to get to local media to act, but you guys have generated some national media attention for your work, haven't you?
A little bit.
A couple times, yeah.
And isn't there the possibility of a interview forthcoming? Like an interview with an organization Steve Bannon recently sat down with?
My gosh, Dan, what are you talking about over there?
Well, I mean, you guys has national media taken an interest in the citizen journalism you're doing. 60 Minutes.
We got interviewed, but the problem is there's in Illinois it's hard to get the next step going, and that is an indictment or a prosecution.
Yeah, 60 Minutes had followed us around and doing a lot of interviews on record, and we were hoping, that was finally going to come forward. They're waiting for the big hammer, the big story. Where's the indictments?
Okay.
They were waiting on.
This is one.
This is
South
one.
County, but I mean, it's
They were looking for an indictment at the College of DuPage, an indictment on the Auditor General. To them, that was a big,
We do
until that happens.
But I mean, still, the fact that you have 60 Minutes interested and the Chicago and Springfield Press Corps generally not interested, that says something. It says something about how the media in this city and state is beholden to big government. And, an outside perspective is completely different than the inside perspective here.
It's kind of back to the salesman can't sell something in his home district.
Yeah, right.
What do you think? What keeps you going? I mean, these are exhaustive projects.
I love that question. And if I may, if there's one thing we're seeing now, there's nothing better to get an email back from someone that says, thanks for helping us. But we go to meetings now in, a little podunk township somewhere that for 20 years never had anybody attend their meeting. You can't find a place to sit. People are engaged. They have an outlet. They're starting to understand the power of one voice, the power of one vote, the power of social media. We go to meetings now that is truly, these people, they get it. They know how to research. They know how to look up stuff on the internet. And all they've done is follow the work that we've done. We just blazed the trail and said, hey, do this, this, and this, and you're going to get the results. Maine Township, we're working on some stuff up there that's just amazing. I mean, should you be paying for dry cleaning for someone in Maine Township? But that's the stuff we're finding on the credit.
I'm just shaking my head. I know. It is just astonishing to me. It really is. After George Ryan and all of the issues that we've had and all the ethics laws, you can pass all the laws that you want. But if you have a public official who wants to use public money for personal use, they're going to find a way to do it.
Well, that's
Well,
the culture in Illinois that you guys are trying to change, and it's good to hear that you're like gremlins in water. You're reproducing. So continue reproducing. Kirk Allen, John Kraft, Edgar County Watchdogs. What's the website?
EdgarCountyWatchdogs.com, IllinoisLeaks.com, and AmericanWatchdogs.com, which is our national organization. We're going to do this 50 states across the U.S.
Good stuff. Kirk and John, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank
and they
you.
joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.